Hey, Jeff Fitton here. This is my blog, Forgotten Rivalries, at forgottenrivalries.wordpress.com. I'm here today to vlog about an amazing rivalry coming out of the Beehive State. The Beehive State, if you are not aware, is Utah, and this rivalry that I'm talking about today is the Holy War. That is Utah and BYU. Now, this rivalry is absolutely intense. It's played in Salt Lake City and Provo, and it's just one of the coolest rivalries that I have ever seen. And this rivalry is also really cool in one way because I was deceived when I first learned about it, and not many rivalries do that, so that's one thing that I'll always remember about this rivalry. And how I was deceived was that when I was taught about it, because BYU is the Mormon school, they're owned by the Church of Latter-day Saints, and then Utah is the state-owned school. I was told when I was younger, much younger, and I wasn't aware until earlier this year, was that Utah would be the school that the Catholics went to, while the Mormons would go to BYU. This year I learned that is very much not the case. In fact, Utah is 77% Mormon. So I was misled. It might be a common misconception. I don't know. It's just how I was misled. So I don't want anyone else to be deceived like I was. This rivalry has been played about 95 times over the course of 117 years, and it is sadly going on a break until 2016. I said earlier, this is an intense rivalry, and it's one of the main reasons that I like it, and this is also why I'm sad that it's going on a break until 2016. A few years ago, I think it was last year, when it was played at Utah, the rivalry was, so in Salt Lake City at Rice-Eccles Stadium, the Utah fans rushed the field because Utah won, but they rushed early. And so they had to take all the fans, get them off the field, put them back in the stands, and then try to get the game going again. And this happened like 3 times, which I think is really cool. And there's also another moment I really love out of BYU. And so a couple years ago when Max Hall was quarterback for the Cougars beat Utah in Provo. And Max Hall, he went straight from the game to his press conference. He got to his press conference wearing that amazing powder blue throwback. And he just sits down and he says, "I really don't like the University of Utah. In fact, I hate them." He goes on to call the school classes, call their fans classes, just say that it's just a horrible school. And just seeing that moment, like him just expressing all of that frustration with that place and with that institution, I feel like that's one of the most powerful things that a rivalry can do. And it's one of my favorite things about rivalries. And the reason I feel like this rivalry is forgotten is just that as a college football nut, outside of like maybe a few memorable games, I didn't know much about this rivalry. And I feel like if I study college football pretty much with my entire life and I don't know much about it, I feel like a lot of people around the country won't know much about it, and that's kind of my mission with this, is to educate some of the bigger schools, bigger name schools, but rivalries people wouldn't really know much about. And that's what I really see with Utah and BYU and the Holy War here. It's just a very intense, very awesome rivalry that people just don't know anything about. And so I will be covering this in a blog post that will come out in a few weeks, so keep your eyes peeled for that. For now, I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and feel free to like me on Facebook, that's /Forgotten Rivalries, or follow me on Twitter at FRGTNRVLY.